Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining in. The captain poll is live. There are so many options this game week, so I wasn't really sure who to put in the captain poll this game week, to be honest. But it's between Mbumo, Mo Salah, Chris Wood so far. And if you have any other captain options, let me know in the comments. My captain at the moment is Mbumo. Transferred out Mateta yesterday on the Q&A, and my replacement was Chris Wood. Actually not that intrigued by this transfer because his ownership is close to 30%, but I really like the fixture for Nottingham Forest and Chris Wood this game week, so at the same time I think that Mateta probably will see limited minutes in game week 36 due to Crystal Palace and their participation in the FA Cup final against Man City on the 17th of May. So I think that Mateta, he hasn't really been at his best recently. So I think that selling Mateta to bring in the likes of Cunha, Visa, Chris Wood, I think it makes sense ahead of game week 36. I know that it's probably a bit template, but there are good arguments for selling Mateta. He is one of the most transferred out players ahead of game week 36. Actually, close to 300 FPL managers have sold Mateta. Will probably go above 300 before the deadline. Still 1 hour and 34 minutes until the deadline, so let me know if you have any questions and let's discuss the next game week. Still 1 hour and 34 minutes until the deadline, so let me know if you have any questions and let's discuss the next game week. Getting close to 90 minutes until the deadline. No Man City news from what I can see over at X, but we will possibly get some news before the deadline. I'm actually in a position with a triple up from Man City, so if one of my players, Guardiola, Kevin De Bruyne or Marmoush, is not starting in game week 36, I will probably take a hit to remove them. So if Marmoush is benched, if Haaland starts, I will have to make a decision. I can't afford Haaland without taking a -8, so that's not an option for me, but I could potentially sell Marmoush and bring in Visa or Cunha. So I will have to make a decision on which player to bring in. We might get the news just 5 minutes before the deadline, so I have to be prepared in case Marmoush doesn't start. The same goes for Kevin De Bruyne. I need a replacement for him as well if he is benched. Not really sure who to bring in for Kevin De Bruyne if he doesn't start in game week 36, so let me know in the comments if you have any good options. I might actually be a bit maverick, but I might do a double transfer and sell Kevin De Bruyne and Marmoush to bring in Haaland and a 4.5 midfielder and play Rodgers. but I might do a double transfer of Kevin De Bruyne and Marmoush to bring in Holland and a 4.5 midfielder, Rodgers. I've actually seen some rumors right now. I just got home from, was out with my son on football practice, but just logged on X reading news about Marmoush being benched. But we've seen those kind of news, nothing concrete. But I will have a plan B in case Marmoush doesn't start. Visa and probably Cunha. So things that I already have Mbumo. Do I need Visa? Will have a plan B in case Marmoush doesn't start. I'm actually tempted by Evan Nilsson, Watkins as well, playing against both Man United and Spurs. So I think Watkins is actually a really good captain option. Next game week, Friday fixture, playing at home against Spurs. I will definitely play Rodgers, and I might actually double up with Watkins, especially if Marmoush is benched for game week 36. So Marmoush to Watkins is the front runner for me at the moment. Could potentially be my second transfer ahead of game week 36. Made one transfer yesterday. I sold Mateta to bring in Chris Wood. My captain is pretty much locked in. It will be Mbumo on penalties, set pieces. Will definitely start for Brentford. A really good fixture in Ipswich. So Mbumo captain. At the moment I have Rodgers on my bench. I have a double up on the Arsenal defense on my bench as well in Raya and Saliba. So I have an expensive bench this game week. Raya and Saliba, one of the most expensive defenders, together with Trippier. At the moment I have Rodgers on my bench. I have a double up on the Arsenal defense on my bench as well in Raya and Saliba. I have an expensive bench this game week. Raya will be really interesting to see if Haaland starts in game week 36. Really good fixture for Man City. So the one that starts up front for Man City is a really good option for game week 36, of course. And I've seen that if Haaland starts, if we get the confirmation, like a thumbs up with a Norwegian flag, something like that from FPL Tony or FPL Main Road, some of the big Man City League accounts. I think that if Haaland starts, it doesn't necessarily mean that Marmoush is benched. He might actually play a bit out left. This is a really good position for Marmoush as well. So if Haaland starts, this doesn't automatically make me sell Marmoush, only if we get the confirmation that Marmoush is benched. There are a lot of good options. I have 1 hour and 26 minutes to decide. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions ahead of the next deadline. The thing is with Haaland is that he is actually the bookie's favorite for anytime goal scorer. So, as mentioned, Haaland 61% chance of a goal. Wood second with 52, and Alexander Isak against Chelsea 45%. So he is third. I think that Alexander Isak, he hasn't really looked that great recently. I know he scored a pen 9 points maximum bonus in game week 35, but I think Alexander Isak is probably a bit tired. Newcastle played a lot of games recently, but I will have Alexander Isak for game week 36, so hopefully he can deliver. It's not like Chelsea is the best, have the best defense, so hopefully Alexander Isak can do something against them. Jared Bowen playing against Man United. Man United is actually my favorite team, but when it comes to FPL, I have no emotions involved, so I'm hoping that Jared Bowen can do well against United. And Bumo, my captain, SA, I think that he is on penalties for Crystal Palace at the moment, so this is one of the reasons why I decided to sell Mateta. I think he could potentially see limited minutes in game week 36, and he is off penalties. Kevin De Bruyne, been really good recently, helped me boost my rank a bit. Marmoush hasn't really delivered, but if he starts this game week, I will keep him. Guardiola, hopefully he can play left back. I think that O'Reilly is out. I know Ake can play left back as well, but I'm hoping that we can see more attacking runs from Guardiola in game week 36. Nico Williams, really good fixture, nailed on in my team. I'm actually benching one of the most expensive defenders in Saliba to play Williams, and Munoz, he is in for his attacking output. So Trippier is yellow flagged, but he would have been on my bench either way. I'm starting Areola. Feels kind of weird playing a 4.2 goalkeeper and benching Raya, but I think we have to play the fixtures, and with Bowen, I hope that Man United will play a weaker team and don't risk any injuries ahead of their really important Europa League final against Spurs. I think we have to play the fixtures, and with Bowen, I hope that Man United will play a weaker team and don't risk any injuries ahead of their really important Europa League final against Spurs. And Bumo is the front runner in the captain poll. My captain as well this game week, 80%, 10% for Chris Wood and 10% for others. No comments with the other options, so if you voted for other, please let me know in the comments who will be your captain. Bumo is the front runner in the captain poll. My captain as well. Clean sheets, Nottingham Forest, they are actually the bookies' favorites for clean sheets. Really good fixture playing at home against Leicester. I know that Nottingham Forest haven't been at their best recently. We saw around Christmas they were actually topping every category when we consider defensive stats like shots on target, big chances against them, expected goals conceded, stuff like that. Nottingham Forest did really well. Haven't been that great recently, but as mentioned, they are the bookies' favorites ahead of game week 36 with 51% chance of a clean sheet. So this is one of the reasons why Williams is nailed on in my game week 36 team. Second on the bookies' predicted clean sheet list is Man City. Really good fixture against Southampton, and we know that especially if Man City score an early goal, they tend to have a great possibility to keep a clean sheet. So 46% chance of a clean sheet for Man City playing against Southampton. Last on the list, the top 3 for predicted clean sheets is actually Fulham. So if you have a Fulham defender like Robinson, I think that he should start in game week 36. Decent fixture at home against Everton. Everton has actually been okay, but they are struggling to score goals. Nikolai, Raya higher ceiling than Areola. Thoughts? Has actually been okay, but possibly. The thing is that I can see a game where Liverpool score, can't really see a clean sheet, so I'm actually hoping for a clean sheet from Areola. Higher ceiling, of course, playing against Liverpool, they always get chances, so there is, of course, a possibility that Raya gets a lot of save points, but at this stage, I think if it's a close call for me these days, I just play the ownership game, trying to play the biggest differential. And for me, this will be to bench the Arsenal defense. I know that a lot of FPL managers have double up on Arsenal, and going without any Arsenal defenders could be a decent differential. I think that playing away against Liverpool, it's one of the game weeks where it's fine to bench your Arsenal defenders, especially if you have other options. I know Areola possibly will started. I think it's every game since Christmas. So he is definitely first choice for West Ham. But it's really close, I agree. We could see a game where that's really close, might even be a 0-0. So this would be great for Raya owners, but he will be on my bench for game week 36, taking a punt and playing Areola. I know it feels wrong playing a 4.2 goalkeeper while having one of the most expensive goalkeepers on my bench. Same goes for Saliba, to be honest, but I'll give it a go in game week 36. Vish Malhotra, what's up, bro? What's up? Just logged on, ready for 1 hour and 20 minutes of deadline action. Hoping for some team news from Man City. My team is pretty much locked in. Made a transfer yesterday on the Q&A. I sold Mateta to bring in Chris Wood. Really good fixture. I will probably captain Mbumo still, but I think that Chris Wood is a really, really good option for game week 36. His ownership is close to 30%, so not a big differential, but I actually think that some of those 30% are dead teams. We saw around Christmas, and I think he peaked probably in January or December, can't really remember, but he was above 40% owned Chris Wood, so I think that some of his 30% owners are dead teams at this point, so I think that he is a really good option. I went Chris Wood as I already had attacking coverage from Brentford in Mbumo, and he will also be my captain. I think that he is a really good option. I went Chris Wood as I already had attacking coverage from Brentford in Mbumo, and he will also be my captain. Hey, isn't the deadline in 2 hours and 18 minutes? Yeah, of course. I'll change the clock. Isn't the deadline in 2 hours and 18 minutes? I'll change the clock, so no need to stress 2 hours, and I'll get that on. No need to stress 2 hours. No need to stress. Not sure why I thought. I think I just miscalculated it, but of course the deadline is in 2 hours and 16 minutes, so the clock is correct now. No need to stress. Not sure why I thought. I think I just miscalculated it, but of course the deadline is in 2 hours and 16 minutes, so the clock is correct now. I really like the fixtures this game week, and that there will be a lot of games played at the same time. Let's have a quick look at the fixture list. So Fulham, Everton, Ipswich, Brentford, Southampton, Man City, Wolves and Brighton. So 4 games played at the same time. A lot of action. And we'll have Bournemouth, Aston Villa later tonight. Tomorrow there will be 3 games played. Man United against West Ham, Forest against Leicester, Spurs, Crystal Palace, and this game week is round up by a really big game. Liverpool, Arsenal, of course, not that much excitement. You know, Liverpool, they are champions, so hopefully we can get a great game. I think that Liverpool will score, so on my bench I have both Raya and Saliba at the moment. Mr. Cool start 2, bench 1, Saka, Mateta, Elanga. I think Mateta would be on my bench. I like Elanga for game week 36, really good fixture. I think that Nottingham Forest can do well. They are actually not in their best form, but I think that they will do well against Ipswich. We know Ipswich, they are already relegated. Nottingham Forest actually have something to play for, so hopefully Nottingham Forest can do well against Ipswich. I have a double up. I have Williams in defense, and yesterday I actually sold Mateta to bring in Chris Wood, so if you have Saka, I think that is not a really good option. I think that he is one of the players that can potentially be sold, but if you have no more free transfers, I would start Saka ahead of Mateta. I'm not sure about Cunha versus Wood. Already have Visa. I think Wood is best for this game week, but Cunha for the last 3. Yeah, I kind of agree. So I talked about this and discussed it yesterday as well. I think Wood has the best fixture this game week. I might actually do something like Chris Wood in this game week. That's already done, but I might actually get rid of him for Watkins next game week. Cunha is an option as well. Alexander Isak, tough fixture next game week, so he might be sold as well. Marmoush, we know that Haaland is back, so he is not the best option anymore as well. Marmoush, I thought that he was actually one of the best players in the game 3 to 4 game weeks ago with Haaland injured. He was potentially on pens. We never actually got a confirmation from Pep Guardiola and Man City. They didn't. They actually didn't receive any penalties during the time with Haaland out. So I think that Marmoush is potentially next in line, but with Haaland back, I think that he will definitely be back on penalties. So Marmoush not that great anymore, but hopefully he can continue. So I will monitor the Man City team news and hopefully we'll get some news if Marmoush will start or not. Ralphson, I'm thinking of getting rid of Konate this week for either Ruben or Milenkovic. What do you think? Definitely like the idea of selling Konate to bring in one of them. Kind of depends on your team. If you have another defender from Nottingham Forest, I would go for Ruben Diaz. But if you have Guardiola, I would go Milenkovic. Even if you have a man, a Nottingham Forest defender, I would rather double up on their defense. Nikolai Rist waiting for leaks. If Marmoush bench, then a -4 to Wood or Cunha. Close to my plan, waiting for leaks as well. And if Marmoush is benched, I'm actually considering Watkins. I discussed this yesterday, as mentioned. I might actually sell Alexander Isak, Chris Wood, or Marmoush. Let's see what happens. But I really like Watkins for next game week. We know Rashford is out. He's potentially on penalties. And playing at home against Spurs, and we know that Spurs in game week 37, they will potentially play a weaker team once again because the Europa League final is really close. So I think Watkins can be a really good differential for game week 37. So he is one to consider. I'm actually really interested in Evan Nilsson as well. Great fixture in game week 38, the last game week this season. So Bournemouth, they are playing at home against Leicester in game week 38. So I will definitely use all my transfers going forward, and I might even consider taking a hit, just like Nikolai Rist said in the comments, if Marmoush is benched. So at the moment, this is my team. I kind of like this starting 11, to be honest. Of course, depends on Marmoush if he starts. Alexander Isak, I don't really like him, but I like that the bookies are backing Alexander Isak. He is actually third for the bookies anytime goal scorer with 45% of a goal. So I think Watkins is a captaincy choice next week. Spurs will rotate heavily. Yeah, as a Spurs fan. Yeah, Spurs fan as well. So you probably have some information and watch their games. They played a really weak team in game week 35, and even if they have actually played their strongest 11, they have not looked good defensively. I know that they have been unlucky this season when we consider injuries, stuff like that. Van de Ven, he's been out. Romero as well. But I think that targeting Spurs, especially for game week 37, is a good idea. So Watkins in is my plan next game week. I might actually do something like Alexander Isak to a 4.5 and Marmoush to Haaland as well. That's another option for me ahead of game week 37. It will be for a -4, but especially if Haaland does well in game week 36, that can potentially be my game week 37 plans. So that was to sell Marmoush and Alexander Isak to bring in Haaland and a 4.5 striker. So that would mean that I would play a 3-5-2, but I really like Rodgers and the Aston Villa fixture, as mentioned, next game week. So I have no doubts in playing Rodgers for game week 37. We only deliver in Europe, so nervous for the final. Yeah, I'm a Man United fan, so I know, definitely get what you're saying. I think it makes sense for both Man United and Spurs to actually play a bit weaker teams in the Premier League going forward and prioritize the Europa League. I'm a Man United fan, so I know I think that both Ange Postecoglou and Amorim, they are both under pressure. So the one that loses the final in the Europa League will probably lose their job as well. Prioritize the Europa League. I saw that Amorim, he received a lot of criticism for playing a weak team in the Premier League, but to be honest, as a Man United fan, I actually like that he is prioritizing the final. Nothing to play for in the league at the moment. So if it was me back in the day in Football Manager, I would definitely rest my best players in the Premier League and have them fresh for the final. Prioritizing the final. Nothing to play for in the league at the moment. So if it was me back in the day in Football Manager, I would definitely rest my best players in the Premier League and have them fresh for. Bryce, thanks for joining in. Kindness greetings, brother man. Are you ready? Close to 2 hours until the deadline. I started the stream with the clock wrong, but now it's fixed. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes until the deadline. Let me know if you have any questions. My transfer this game week has been to sell Mateta to bring in Chris Wood. We've been talking about game week 37 already. 2 hours and 5 minutes until the deadline. And Watkins is potentially one I really want for game week 37. Good fixture playing at home against Spurs and potentially my captain in game week 37. So if Marmoush is benched, if we get confirmation that he will not start in game week 36, Marmoush to Watkins might be my transfer. Not the best fixture for Aston Villa this game week, playing away against Bournemouth, but we know that Watkins potentially can do well in that game as well. Was kind of strange that Watkins was benched back to back while Rashford was starting up front. But Rashford is injured, so I think that as long as he doesn't pick up any injuries, I think that Watkins is nailed on for the rest of the season. Visa and Kevin De Bruyne for a -4, currently number 1 in my mini league for cash. Need to make a solid move this game week. Hopefully you'll win, Bryce. I think that both Visa and Kevin De Bruyne are reasonable to bring in this game week. I would wait closer to the deadline. Of course, we might get some team news from Man City. I have read some rumors about Marmoush that he is going to be benched, but I'm not sure how reliable those sources are. But I will try to pay close attention to Man City leaks before the deadline. Yeah, selling Rashford and Mateta makes sense. I really like those moves. Remember them from the Q&A yesterday. So Visa, Kevin De Bruyne in, Rashford, Mateta out. Looks really, really good. Rodgers always delivers when I bench, but no way I'm benching Sar. I kind of have the same feeling. I have owned Rodgers on 2 different occasions so far this season. I brought him back on my game week 28 wildcard to prepare for a bench boost, and I think that close to every game week I have benched Rodgers. He actually delivered as well, so there's probably something about Rodgers doing well in those tough games. So when we feel that it's safe to put Rodgers on the bench, he actually does something. So hopefully Rodgers can deliver next game week. I really believe that Aston Villa can do well against Spurs, as mentioned. So I'm tempted to double up on their attack. I know that a lot of FPL managers already have the likes of Martinez in their team, so I really believe that Aston Villa can do well against, especially those who wildcarded in game week 30, game week 31 before the Aston Villa double. Konsa as well. I would definitely start him next game week. Especially those who wildcarded in game week 30, game week 31 before the Aston Villa double. Konsa as well. I would definitely start him game week. So let's take a quick look over at X. Quick look over at X. So, Man City. So the official Man City account posted 3 hours ago. Kevin De Bruyne is the poster boy. Man City versus Southampton. The official Man City account posted 3 hours ago. Kevin De Bruyne is the poster boy. Man City versus Southampton. No concrete news over at X yet. No concrete news over X yet. Mbumo 81%. No votes for Salah. 5% Chris Wood and other 14%. Let me know in the comments who will be your captain for game week 36. Especially if you voted for other, I would be interested to know which player you're going to captain this game week. I think that potentially Visa could be an option as well. Probably some Man City players. Kevin De Bruyne could be an option. Haaland for those who had the funds to easily get Haaland back in. Probably some Man City players. I like those kind of game weeks where the captaincy will be spread. Makes it a bit more fun than as the game was around Christmas with a lot of FPL teams with Salah perma captain. One of the reasons why my rank is not the best at the moment is that I started the season really bad. I had to take some punts, so went against Salah in some of those game weeks where his ownership was close to 200%, but he just kept on delivering, so my rank took several hits over that period. So at the same time, my captain punts did not deliver, and betting against a player like Mo Salah with that ownership, especially the ownership he had around Christmas, can be really, really dangerous. So, but I knew the risk, took some punts, and it failed. So, not the best season for me, but in the Hall of Fame, I'm still in a good position. But this season will definitely make me go a bit down the Hall of Fame list, but it is what it is. I really have enjoyed this season. Started doing more FPL content. My first live, I think it was game week 2 this season. In August, I did my first live Q&A. I really have enjoyed this season. Started doing more FPL content. Learning a lot, especially when it comes to making graphics, stuff like that, how to put up the timer, how to get scrolling text on the screen, how to make the graphics change. So I've learned a lot when it comes to live content this season, and of course the weekly team selection video, learning a lot from them as well when it comes to editing, talking to the camera, stuff like that. Upgraded some of my devices as well, new microphone, better lighting. I actually have a green screen behind me as well for better visuals, but I think that the next step probably is a better camera, using a really cheap webcam at the moment. So before the 25-26 season, this will probably be upgraded. Juntao, thanks for joining in. Bench 1, Mateta, SA, Rogers. Would you sell Mateta? So I was actually in the exact same position before gameweek 36. So yesterday I sold Mateta to bring in Chris Wood. So sell Mateta, in my opinion, bring in Chris Wood, and bench Rogers. At least that's what I'm doing this game week. I think that SH probably should start, because we know that he is on penalties. Actually looked really good, passes the eye test at the moment on most set pieces for Crystal Palace. So I think that SA is still a really good option. The worry with SA is, of course, that Crystal Palace, they have an FA Cup final coming up, so he might see limited minutes. Glasner may want to protect him, so he can potentially just play 60 to 70 minutes. But I think that SA has a better expected minutes than Mateta, so I decided to sell Mateta. One of the reasons why Mateta is the sell, in my opinion, is that there are so many good options up front at the moment. We have Visa, Wood, Cunha is decent, and Evan Nilsson as well. And I really like Watkins for game week 37 and the home fixture against Spurs. So I think that Mateta actually is the one that has to go. Cunha is decent, and Evan Nilsson as well. And I really like Watkins for game week 37. When it comes to Visa or Chris Wood, I think it's really close. I like Cunha as well. Nikolai, he pointed out that Cunha has the best fixtures for the next 3 game weeks, and I agree, but I really, really like both Visa and Chris Wood's fixture in game week 36. So I think that in game week 30... I think that in game week 36, it's not the time to make long-term plans is just to attack the best fixtures and just collect as much points as possible in the run-in. So usually it's advisable to think like 4 to 8 game weeks while making your transfers, but I think at this stage we just have to attack the next game week. So Visa or would be my preferred options, and if you have Mbumo, would go for Chris Wood. If you have Elanga or Morgan Gibbs White and no Mbumo, I would go for Visa. I would want at least one attacker, midfielder or forward from Nottingham Forest and Brentford. So bench Rodgers would be my advice. I'm benching him as well, but I wouldn't necessarily want to sell Rodgers. I really like him for game week 37 as mentioned. So bench Rodgers, sell Mateta to bring in Visa or Chris Wood. So bench Rodgers would be my advice. I'm benching him as well, but I wouldn't necessarily want to sell Rodgers. I really like him for game week 37 as mentioned. So bench Rodgers, sell Matata to bring in Visa or Chris Wood. If you haven't done so already, please like the stream. I think that the more likes the stream get, the more traction and more visibility you get for others on YouTube as well. So please give the stream a like, and of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. I post weekly team selection videos. I do weekly Q&As the night before the deadline, and when I find the time like today, I do deadline streams as well. I started out this season doing those live streams. I think that the quality is improving every game week, so hopefully you'll enjoy it and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. 1 hour and 48 minutes until the deadline. Doing those live streams. I think that the quality is improving every game week, so hopefully you'll enjoy it and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Gained some new subscribers yesterday on the Q&A, so if you joined the Q&A yesterday and subscribed, thanks for subscribing. Got 4 new subscribers, so that's great so far. Let's have a quick look. So far, this channel has 2,784 subscribers, and I think that's really, really good. I don't really have the time for making full-time. I can't really make 4 or 5 videos a week. At least I need to get a bit better at editing, filming, stuff like that. So when I first started out, I used a lot of time just on filming and editing, but it's getting better each game week, doing things a bit quicker. So hopefully I can post 2 videos and do the live Q&A and the live streams as usual. That's at least the plan for next season. I'll try to make some of the graphics in advance as well and try to do it a bit easier for myself to make those videos. But I really enjoy it. I don't really have any on my work, stuff like that, to discuss FPL, so I really enjoy discussing it on X and with those live streams at YouTube as well. So thanks to anyone for tuning in. Please let me know in the comments if this is too loud or too low in the music as well. Try to put on a bit of background music, but I can't really hear it myself. So please let me know in the comments if the music and my microphone is tuned. I probably should get one of those headsets, plug it in. I think I actually have possibility. Probably should get one of those headsets. Actually, haven't done this before, but I'll give it a go. Still time before the deadline, 1 hour and 45 minutes, so I'll try to monitor my own sounds. Morning dudes, I'm planning to use the triple captain on Mbumo today. Still have bench boost for 38. Is Brian a good triple captain shout today, or would you wait for Palmer next week? Morning dudes, I'm planning to use the triple captain. Definitely think that Mbumo is a good shout for triple captaincy this game week. My only worry with your chip strategy is that in game week 38 we know that historically this is a game week where a lot of teams actually rotate a lot. So I think that the bench boost can potentially fail in game week 38. So if you have the possibility, try to use your bench boost in 36 or 37. I think that the bench boost can potentially fail in game week 38. So if you have the possibility, try to use your bench boost. I know that a lot of FPL managers wanted game week 36 to be a thing, but we now know that there will be no more game weeks this season. The games that will get affected by the FA Cup final is still in game week 37, and the same goes for Spurs. They really wanted to move the game against Aston Villa. It was a possibility that it was moved to game week 36, but it will be a Friday fixture. Will get affected by the FA Cup final. Still in game week 37, and the same goes for Spurs. They really wanted to move the game against Aston Villa. It was a possibility that it was moved to game week 36, but it will be a Friday fixture. But as mentioned, the Mbumo triple captain shout definitely is a decent shout. There you go. Just had a look at the Ipswich defensive stats, and it's not looking good. Last 4 game weeks, they haven't kept any clean sheets. They conceded 11 goals, 15 big chances, 23 shots on target, which is worst in the league. Even worse, Leicester have actually like 21, something like that. And they have an expected goal of 8.22. So I think that Ipswich is a team to target, and triple captaining Mbumo is actually a really good idea. So if you can use your triple captain this game week on Mbumo, potentially try to set up your team for a bench boost in game week 37. That would probably be my tactic with your remaining ships. So if you can use your triple captain this game week on Mbumo, potentially try to set up your team for a bench boost in game week 37. That would probably be my tactic with your remaining ships. Halvor, Kevin De Bruyne captain. I like Kevin De Bruyne as a differential captain. Really good fixture, of course, for Man City playing against Southampton. But I think that if we get confirmed that Kevin De Bruyne starts in, that he is a really good option, but there is a slight risk involved. He might actually be benched. We know it's Man City, it's Pep Guardiola, and they have an FA Cup final coming up as well. So I think that if we get confirmed, I wait for more team news. Benched, we know it's Man City, it's Pep Guardiola. They have an FA Cup final. But I say, if we, as mentioned, get some more team news, confirmed news from good sources that Kevin De Bruyne is starting. I think it's a really good option, but if we don't get this, I will probably go for someone else, to be honest. So in the captain poll at the moment, 30 votes, and Mbumo is actually 76% no votes for Mo Salah, Chris Wood 7, and other 17. So let me know in the comments which player will be your captain for game week 36. In the captain poll at the moment, Mbumo is currently my captain. I have the stats, defensive stats from Ipswich on the screen at the moment. In most categories, they're only beaten by Leicester, so Ipswich, Leicester, two teams to target in the run-in. So 11 goals conceded, 15 big chances, 23 shots on target, and 8.22 expected goals against them in the last 4 game weeks. So Mbumo, a really good captain option. If you still don't have Mbumo in your team, I think that you at least should have one of Mbumo or Visa for game week 36. Goals against them in the last 4 game weeks. So Mbumo, really good. Let's get the team back on screen. So Mbumo and Ipswich. Is gone. My team is back. I have Areola in goal, benching both Raya and Saliba this game week. It feels kind of wrong benching those expensive assets. Trippier as well, one of the most expensive defenders, but I think that I want to target the fixtures this game week, and playing the least owned players can be really, really powerful for me. So Munoz as well, together with Guardiola. In midfield, I have Kevin De Bruyne, I have Marmoush, so a triple up from Man City. If Marmoush is actually benched for game week 36, we'll have to make a decision. I will probably take a hit and sell Marmoush if he's benched. I'm tempted by Visa, Cunha, but Watkins is probably the front runner at the moment. He has a really, really good fixture next game week, playing the Friday fixture at home against Spurs, and I know that Spurs potentially will rest a lot of players for this game. They have nothing to fight for in the Premier League, and they have a really, really big game against Man United in the Europa League final coming up. So targeting Spurs in game week 37 by going Watkins will probably be my plan if Marmoush is benched. This game, they have nothing to fight for in the Premier League, and they have a really, really big game against Man United in Europa League final coming up. So targeting Spurs in game week 37 by going Watkins will probably be my plan if Marmoush is benched. Alexander Isak, one of the most transferred out players, 250k, have sold Alexander Isak ahead of game week 36. At the same time, Alexander Isak is actually one of the bookies' favorites for anytime goal scorer. 45% of an Alexander Isak goal in game week 36 for Newcastle's home fixture against Chelsea. So I think that there is actually a risk involved in selling Alexander Isak. It's not like he's injured, and it's not like Chelsea is the best team in the world. So I know the fixture doesn't look great on paper. I think that in official FPL it's a grey fixture as well. So when FPL managers see those grey and red fixtures, it feels tempting to get rid. It doesn't really happen that often that a player that actually delivers is one of the most sold players when he's not injured. So Alexander Isak, he scored in game week 35, 9 points, but he's still one of the most transferred out players. The reason for this is, of course, that there are so many good forward options this game week. Visa, really good fixture against Ipswich, and Chris Wood playing at home against Leicester. So I can see why so many with Alexander Isak are tempted by those other options. Kevin De Bruyne is the most transferred in player. 600k new owners for Kevin De Bruyne. Will be classic FPL if he's actually benched for game week 36, but I think De Bruyne will start. I really hope he will start. Of course, he's in my team. 11 points in game week 35. We know Haaland is back as well. I think this is good for Kevin De Bruyne. But of course, Marmoush and his minutes is under a threat if Haaland is back. So I started the stream by saying that if we get the confirmation that Haaland starts, I don't necessarily think that this means that Marmoush is definitely benched. I think that Marmoush could move out wide, play on the left with Haaland as their number 9. So I think that Man City can start with both Marmoush and Haaland. We saw this before Haaland got injured, so if I sell Marmoush, it's because we get the confirmation that he is actually benched. We'll not sell Marmoush if we get the confirmation that Haaland starts. It's not like Marmoush, if you don't get any news, and if I start Marmoush, he will probably play 30 minutes, 25, and 30 minutes against Southampton could be enough for a Marmoush return. If Haaland starts, I don't think that he will play 90 minutes. He's been out for a while, so if Haaland starts, I think it would make sense to give him maybe 1 hour, maybe 45 minutes. I actually don't think Haaland will start, but let's wait and see. He's been training, but he haven't really played that much competitive football, so it will be really, really interesting to see if Haaland starts this game week. One of my transfer plans for next game week is actually, I have a route to get Haaland if he looks good in game week 36. So I can potentially sell Alexander Isak and Marmoush to bring in Haaland and a 4.5 fodder. So I will go 3-5-2 with my fodder on the bench and Rodgers in my starting 11. I really like Rodgers for next game week, so I have no problems with playing Rodgers against Spurs next game week. Another option for me is to sell Marmoush and bring in Watkins, and this will probably mean that I will captain Ollie Watkins against Spurs next game week. But let's wait and see what happens. 1 hour and 30 minutes until the deadline. Let me know if you have any questions or 50-50 decisions, benching dilemmas. Let me know. Mbumo is on 77%, no vote for Mo Salah, 6% Chris Wood, and 16% have voted for another captain option. Let me know in the comments as well which other captain option are you going for in game week 36. Let's have a quick look over at X to see if there are any rumors about the teams playing early. Let me know in the comments as well which other captain option are you going for in game week 36. Let's have a quick look over at X to see if there are any rumors about the teams playing early. A lot of FPL managers over at X already locked in their team, posted it. Maybe someone thinks that the deadline has passed. Not really sure. A lot of FPL managers over at X already locked in their team, posted it. Maybe someone thinks that the deadline has passed. Sure. Alex Volo posting no Holland in the squad, posting team news from the Man City women team to face Crystal Palace. Alex Volo posting no Holland in the squad, posting. No concrete news over at X so far. An account called Team News FPL at least saying that he will have early team news, so if you're interested, go check it out. 11.4k followers saying expecting early team news today. Which players do you need? I can see in the comments that a lot of FPL managers are wanting early team news from, obviously, from Man City, Kevin De Bruyne, Marmouche. I will keep an eye on this thread, of course, and I'll let you know if I can find anything that seems reliable. FPL fella asking if anyone has any news. Ederson starts. That's FPL main road. Usually reliable when it comes to Man City team list. Go check that one out as well if you're interested. FPL main road over at X. Nothing from this account so far today's, but we'll keep monitoring the most reliable sources the next hour. Captain Visa or play safe with Mbumo? I would probably go Mbumo because of the penalties, but of course if you want to take a punt, then with Visa is really good as well. I'm actually tempted to take a punt. I like taking punts, and last game week was a good game week for me. I captained Jared Bowen. It went fairly well. I can't really see a punt in my team. I don't consider Chris Wood as a punt for the captaincy. 30% owned. SA would be my captain punt this game week. Let's have a quick look at Crystal Palace and their opponent. So they are playing against Spurs. So this is the punt that I'm considering, but I'm pretty sure that it will be Mbumo. But captaining SA might be a good idea. They play against Spurs. We know that they will prioritize the Europa League, and they have kept 0 clean sheets, 12 goals conceded, 9 big chances, 16 shots on target, and an expected goal of 6.25. So I think that SA is a decent option. I would probably go SA, to be honest, but at the same time, we know that, as with, of course, Spurs and Man United, Crystal Palace, they have an extra game as well. They will play the FA Cup final on the 17th of May next Saturday. So I think that we can potentially see some rotation from Crystal Palace as well, and especially if they have an option to rest their best players like SA. I think that Glasner probably will rest the likes of Mateta, SA, and take them off early. So this is the reason why I'm actually not that tempted by SA, so I will probably go Mbumo. Pickford or Kepa? Probably Pickford. Everton, they have been pretty solid defensively, struggling for goals, of course, but I think that backing the Everton defense is still a good idea. So Pickford would be my preferred option. Do you think Bruno Fernandes is Man United playing all? I think it's really hard to call, especially after the press conference from Amorim. He was actually pointing out that he was name dropping both Bruno Fernandes and Maguire. I think definitely Harry Maguire will be benched, but it's really hard to tell if Bruno will play or not. I think that there is a risk that he potentially is benched again in game week 36, as we saw in game week 35. But he was talking about that players need to play games to stay fit. But at the end of the press conference, he also said that the Europa League final is a really, really big game for Man United supporters and the club, that he would do anything to win a title for Man United this season. So I think it's really hard to call. For me, it's 50-50 if Bruno starts or not, but I think that we will see rotation, and the players like Harry Maguire will be rested. But I actually think that Bruno probably 60-40. I think that he potentially can start in game week 36. This is my team: Raya, Guardiola, Ruben Diaz, Munoz, Mbumo, Salah, SA, Jared Bowen, Marmoush, Isak, and Vissa. I think this team will do well. I think that to double up on Man City with Ruben Diaz and Guardiola is a nice little differential. I have Raya as well, but he is on my bench. I'm starting Munoz, same as you, and Mbumo. I don't have Salah. Not Raya, Areola. I'm sorry. Yeah, for me as well, I'm actually starting Areola. I don't really think Arsenal will keep a clean sheet against Liverpool. I know Liverpool did not look great against Chelsea in game week 25, lost 3-1, but at the same time, I think that Liverpool, with no pressure, I think that they will score goals. So Saliba and Raya on my bench. starting Munoz and Areola. Pretty close to my team. I have SA, Jared Bowen as well, Marmoush, Isak, but instead of going Wissa, I went for Chris Wood. Actually made a transfer last night on the Q&A, sold Mateta to bring in Chris Wood. Will probably still captain Mbumo. Take a hit for any other transfer. I'm really considering a hit myself, but this is only if we get some early team news from Man City, and if Marmoush is benched, I will potentially take a hit to remove Marmoush. There are a lot of good options. Cunha, Evan Nilsson, we have the likes of Watkins, and of course, in your case, Chris Wood as well. I will probably go Watkins. I'm really tempted to bring Watkins in and captain him in game week 37. Another option for me is to actually sell both Alexander Isak and Marmoush to bring in Holland and a 4.5 striker. So if I do this, I will play 3-5-2 with the 4.5 fodder on the bench and Rodgers in my starting 11. I'm not going to take a -8. So the Holland move will potentially be for game week 37. But of course, I will watch the Man City game today and monitor the situation considering Holland. But I think that he potentially can be a nice differential in the run. In his ownership is like 22%, but I think that most of those owners are dead teams. Picked Holland early on and haven't really done much to their team since August. So I think that Watkins as well is a bigger differential than most of us think. He was one of the most selected players before game week 1. So I think that the effective ownership for Watkins is much lower than in the official FPL game. So I think Watkins in game week 37 can be a really, really nice differential to boost our ranks. The fixture doesn't look that great on paper, playing against Spurs in game week 37, but Spurs, they're actually one of the worst teams considering their defense, and they will possibly rest some players as well, considering that they play the Europa League final against Man United. So there are a lot of options. I discussed this earlier today as well. If you have Mbumo and no other Nottingham Forest attack, I would go for Chris Wood. But if you have Elanga, I would probably go Vissa up front. So would you suggest I do the same and get Wood or Cunha or Watkins in for Marmoush? Definitely, especially if Marmoush is benched, I think it makes sense to bring in Wood, Cunha or Watkins. I talked about Marmoush a lot today, and I think that he has the potential to do something from the bench as well. If Erling Haaland starts, I think that potentially Marmoush can start together with Haaland. We will just see Marmoush playing a bit to the left with Haaland as their number 9. If Marmoush is benched, he can, of course, come on. I can't really see Haaland playing 90 minutes. He's been out for a while, so there are some arguments for keeping Marmoush, even though he's benched, but I think potentially that I will sell him for a -4 because there are a lot of other good options as well. I think that one strategy to consider is to sell Marmoush, bring in Wood, and sell Chris Wood in game week 38 for Evan Nilsson. Really good fixture for Bournemouth in game week 38, playing at home against Leicester. So this is another option to consider. Marmoush out, Chris Wood in. Chris Wood out to Evan Nilsson in game week 38. This will give you 2 home fixtures two potential captain options for game week 36 and game week 38. So 2 home games against Leicester. Take Salah out for De Bruyne if he starts, and Marmoush for Wood, Cunha, Watkins. This will be for a -8. A -8 is a lot of points. I would only consider this if we get the news that Kevin De Bruyne starts and Marmoush is benched. Then I would do those moves, but I wouldn't just sell Marmoush. If he starts, he might actually be a really, really good option. As mentioned, if Haaland starts, that's great for Haaland owners, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Marmoush is benched. So I think that both Haaland and Marmoush can start at the same time. We saw this before Haaland got injured as well, so a -8 is a lot, but I would recommend doing those moves if Kevin De Bruyne starts and Marmoush is definitely benched for game week 36. But I'm not sure if we'll get team news or how much we will get. It's been a while since we got a whole team. So the leakers like FPL Tony, FPL Main Road, big accounts, they are usually just drop feeding. So they get some information and we get some, like maybe 4-5 players. So we have to guess the rest. I'm really hoping for maybe a Belgian or Egyptian flag with a thumb up after it. That would mean that Kevin De Bruyne or Marmoush starts. Of course, the Belgian flag could mean Doku starts as well, but that will be major trolling from those accounts. So let's take a quick look over at X once again. Nothing on my home feed. Let's check those accounts again. Team News FPL, go check that out if you're interested. 11.5k followers, getting a lot of followers. 30 minutes ago it was only like 10.3, something like that. So 1,200 new followers in 30 minutes. That's decent. I think that the early team news accounts, there's a big risk. So if they get it wrong, all of those followers will unfollow, of course. And I think that expecting early team news today, if they don't get anything, I think that someone will definitely unfollow those accounts. Main Road, FPL Main Road. Nothing from the big account so far. 1 hour and 7 minutes left until the deadline. My transfer this game week has been to sell Mateta. I think that he is a minute's risk for game week 36. Crystal Palace, they play the FA Cup final and he might actually start on the bench. I think that if Mateta starts, he will potentially just play 60 minutes. Glasner has said that he wants to start his best team, but I can't see Mateta playing 90 minutes. And SA is on penalties. He took the last penalty. Mateta was on the pitch, so I think that in the run-in, SA is Crystal Palace penalty taker. So there are a lot of arguments for selling Mateta. there are a lot of arguments for keeping Marmoush unless we get confirmation that he will be benched. So this will probably be my team. Mbumo captain. In the captain poll, Mbumo 81%, no votes for Mo Salah, Wood 5%, and other 14%. So let me know in the comments which captain option do you like the most for game week 36. Haaland is the bookie's favorite. Wood and Alexander Isak is second and third, 52% for Chris Wood, 45% chance of a goal according to the bookies for Alexander Isak. So Alexander Isak, I discussed this earlier as well. I think it's a bit strange that Alexander Isak is one of the most transferred out players. Don't usually see a player that does well one game week is one of the most sold players ahead of the next game week. So Alexander Isak in game week 35, he scored 9 points, maximum bonus, happy days, but one of the most transferred out players this game week. I think he'll start. No rumors or news about Alexander Isak picking up an injury. So if you have Alexander Isak in your team, I think it's safe to just play him. Not a captain option for me this game week. Chelsea looked decent against Liverpool in game week 35. So Alexander Isak, if you have him, just play him. But I wouldn't necessarily want to sell Alexander Isak. But of course, tough fixtures next game week for Isak as well. So I can see the reasoning for letting him go. Top 3 for transfers in: Kevin De Bruyne is the most transferred in player, and Visa is second, and Mbumo third. So I would be a bit worried if I didn't have any Brentford attackers going into game week 36. A really good fixture for Brentford. Ipswich haven't looked good defensively, so I think that Brentford can score a couple of goals against them. This is the reason why Mbumo is my captain. The reason why I picked Chris Wood is that I want to cover the Nottingham Forest attack as well. So I had the opportunity to sell Mateta and bring in Visa, but I've opted for Chris Wood. Not really excited over his ownership, quite high ownership at 30%, but I think that a lot of those managers with Chris Wood are dead teams. He was really popular and above 40% owned. We didn't really see that this ownership went down that much during his injury, so this means that there are a lot of so-called dead teams with Chris Wood in them. So I still think that Chris Wood is a good transfer in for game week 36. So my plan is to actually sell Chris Wood soon. If nothing happens, no injuries, stuff like that, I will potentially sell Chris Wood in game week 38 and bring in Evan Nilsson. I really like Bournemouth fixture for game week 38, playing at home against Leicester. So Chris Wood is playing at home against Leicester in game week 36. And if I transfer him to Evan Nilsson in game week 38, I will have 2 home fixtures against Leicester. Really tempting. I just showed the stats from Ipswich. They're like 18th, 19th in most categories, while Leicester is 20th in most of those mentioned categories. So Leicester definitely a team to target. Ipswich as well. Southampton been a bit better recently, but still one of the teams we should target in the run-in. I also really like Aston Villa's fixture in game week 37. playing that Friday night fixture against Spurs. We know Spurs will probably rest some of their best players. They have a really, really important game against Man United in the Europa League final. So I think that Aston Villa can do really well against Leicester next game week. So against Spurs, sorry. So another option for me is actually to sell Marmoush and bring in Watkins if Marmoush is benched. That's my current plan. I will monitor the news from Man City. It's not 100% sure that we will get confirmed team news, but of course there is a chance. I will follow X closely when we get closer to the deadline as well. Checked a couple of times, nothing concrete yet, but there is one account saying that he will post leaks. So if you're interested, go check that one out as well. It's called, let's have a quick look, Team News FPL over at X. Expecting early team news today. Which players do you need? In the comments, 120 comments, most of them saying that they want to get some information about Man City. Marmoush, Haaland, Savinho, Marmoush, Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, of course, Savinho, City goalkeeper Ruben Diaz, do they start? So a lot of interest in Man City leaks ahead of game week 36. Please rank Jared Bowen, Visa, and Alexander Isak as potential captains this game week. My preferred option would probably be Visa, mostly because of the fixture. So let's get the stats on the screen. So Visa, this is of course for Mbumo, my captain, but same goes for Visa, playing for the same team. So Brentford, they are up against Ipswich. Terrible stats, 11 goals conceded, 15 big chances conceded, 23 shots on target, expected goals conceded 8.22. So this is the last 4 game weeks. Ipswich, terrible defensively, and I can't really see that change that much in the run-in. So targeting Ipswich is probably a really, really good idea for game week 36. And let's have a quick look to see at those other options as well. So this is, sorry, it took some time to just find the file, but this is Jared Bowen and his opponent, West Ham, playing against Man United. So I was kind of expecting probably even worse defensive stats from Man United, but they have kept 0 clean sheets, 10 goals conceded, 12 big chances, and 15 shots on target. The thing with Man United is that they haven't had that many shots on target, and they actually have 12 big chances conceded. So most of the shots conceded have been big chances. They only have an expected goals conceded of 5.52. So they probably have been a bit unlucky to actually concede 10 10 goals. But this also has something to do with that most of the chances that Man United are getting against them are so-called big chances. So I would actually say that with the potential rotation in the Man United squad, Amorim, he was close to saying that he will continue with rotation in game week 36. I'm not really sure about Bruno Fernandes, but I think that he potentially can start. But I think that we will see a Man United resting some of their best players in game week 36. So Visa would be my preferred option. Jared Bowen number 2 and Alexander Isak would be number 3 for me. But if you take a look at the bookies prediction for anytime goal scorer in game week 26, at the same time we can actually see that he is one of the favorites. Alexander Isak at home against Chelsea, 45%. Haaland is the favorite, 61%, and Chris Wood is second with 52% chance of a goal, according to bookies. So these are not my predictions. It's actually the goal scorer odds from the bookies. Clean sheets. The top team for expected clean sheets in game week 36, Man City as well, topping that with 51. I'm sorry, Nottingham Forest 51. Man City is second with 46, and Fulham have 41% chance of a clean sheet. So if you have Robinson, I would definitely start him in game week 36. If you have Robinson and if you have the likes of Saliba, Timber, I would probably bench my Arsenal defenders and play Fulham defenders this game week. I'm actually starting Areola instead of Raya. Munoz is in, Saliba on my bench. I'm taking a couple of punts in defense. And hopefully this will work out. Yeah. So to summarize, my preferred option would be Visa, second Jared Bowen, and Alexander Isak. The fixture doesn't look that great for Newcastle on paper, but we know Alexander Isak will start. He's still on penalty, so even though that he is one of the most transferred out players this game week, he's still one of the bookies' favorites. And the bookies, they are usually right. So I wouldn't necessarily sell Alexander Isak, but I know that there are a lot of other tempting options as well. Tough fixture for Alexander Isak next game week as well, so it makes sense to sell him, but I don't think that you have to sell him. If you have him, start him. Don't captain, just keep Alexander Isak, especially if it's for a hit. I wouldn't take a hit to sell Alexander Isak ahead of game week 36, to be honest. Salah is also one of the most transferred out players, 245k. I've sold Mo Salah ahead of their fixture against Arsenal. I think that Salah is still a decent option, starting to maybe become a bit of a differential in the top 10k, at least with active managers getting rid of Mo Salah. We know Liverpool, they are champions, so not that much to play for, but I think personally for Mo Salah, he would want to score as many goals as he can. Bumo back in the 80s for percentage in the captain poll. 82% for Mbumo, still 0 votes for Mo Salah, Chris Wood 5%, and other 13. So looks like Mbumo will take this one. Will be interesting to see his effective ownership will probably be comfortably over 100% ownership in the game week 36. I think that the FPL managers with their triple captain, the ones that were hoping for a double game week 36, save their triple captain. I think that most of them will go Mbumo. I discussed this earlier today as well. If you still have your bench boosts, I would recommend you to actually activate the bench boost this game week or in game week 37. Use your transfers wisely to have 15 starting players in your squad, because I can see, and historically it has been a lot of rotation the last game of the season in game week 38. So if you still have your bench boost, my advice would be to play the bench boost in game week 36 or game week 37. 48 minutes left until the line. Let's have a quick look over at X once more to see if there are any updates. So trying to search for some early team news. Nothing from FPL Main Road, nothing from Team News FPL. Go check them out yourself if you're interested. FPL Tony, usually a reliable source for Man City news. Just realized that he is actually following me over at X. 81,000 followers, so Go check that one out as well if you're interested. And of course, FPL TFS over at X. Go follow that one as well. Nothing from FPL Tony. Been a while actually. Since he last posted any news about Man City, so not sure if he's in the know anymore, to be honest. I remember at the end of last season as well, he actually posted to try to help the community, but he was actually wrong with his lineup leak. So I think that he received a lot of hate for this, of course. Chances of Haaland starting, I think there are chances that Haaland starts. We know that he has been taking part of Man City's training sessions for 2 weeks, so I think that he potentially is a starter for game week 36. The only problem is, of course, he haven't played, so I think that even if Haaland starts this game week, I can't really see him playing 90 minutes, so of course, a really good fixture for Man City against Southampton. But I can't really see Haaland playing 90 minutes, so I'm not sure if he is a must-have this game week, but if he either starts or gets subbed on this game week, I will consider a way to get him in for game week 37. So my plan is to actually sell both Alexander Isak and Marmoush. I'm triple up on Man City, so I need to sell one Man City player, and it will be Marmoush and Isak to Haaland and a 4.5 forward on my bench. So I don't really need 15 strong players. My bench boost is played, so I can afford having a 4.5 non-starter on my bench for the last 2 game weeks. So Isak and Marmoush to Haaland and a 4.5 is a transfer I really will consider doing if Haaland looks good in game week 36. I wouldn't really take a hit to bring him in. And if we get confirmed news about Haaland starting, this will not make me sell Marmoush. So before Haaland's injury, we actually saw that they were both starting together. So I think this can happen today as well. On the other hand, if we get reliable sources saying that Marmoush is benched, I will consider doing Marmoush to Watkins. I know there are a lot of good forward options. I could go Wissa, Cunha, but the reasoning for going Watkins is actually that he potentially will be my captain in game week 37. Really good fixture for Aston Villa playing at home against Spurs. A Spurs that probably will want to save players for the Europa League final. So those are my 2 options. If Marmoush is benched, I will do Marmoush to Watkins. If Marmoush starts, I will just play this team and avoid a hit. But let's have a quick look at Haaland. It's been a while for Haaland. It would be a bit strange for him to just start right away, to be honest. The last game for Haaland was in game week 29 against Brighton. Scored a goal in that game. started, played 90 minutes, but game week 30, 31, 32, 33, 4, and 5. Of course, 2 games in game week 33 and a blank for Man City in game week 34, but no games for Haaland since game week 29. I would be a bit surprised, to be honest, if Haaland starts, and I would be even more surprised if he lasts 90 minutes. I think that's really unlikely for Haaland to play 90. However, while discussing Haaland, he is actually the bookie's favorite for anytime goal scorer in game week 36. He usually is the bookie's favorite. Of course, his record speaks for themselves, so he should be high on the bookies list, and this game week he is on 61%. Next on the list is Chris Wood 52 and Alexander Isak 45 for Newcastle's fixture at home against Chelsea. So kind of weird seeing Alexander Isak, one of the most transferred out players, but it makes sense when we take a look at Newcastle's fixtures for the rest of the season. 38 minutes left. I can see some of those live on X streams with just sound. See that some of them have a lot of listeners. Trophy FPL 1.1k. I think next season I will look into doing those. I'm not really sure what it's called, but is it multi-streams, something like that? So doing those streams over at YouTube while simultaneously streaming the sound to X in a way. I think that's a possibility and will potentially get more listeners. And Bumo is on 80%. Mo Salah still no votes for him. Chris Wood 7 and other 12. So a lot of interest in Mbumo captain. It really makes sense. I like captaining a midfielder as well. Extra point for keeping a clean sheet and the extra point for a goal. So And Bumo will probably be my captain. Haven't really considered Chris Wood, to be honest. My transfer this game week was to sell Mateta to bring in Chris Wood, but the captaincy is almost locked in on Mbumo. Just going to grab another drink, back in 2 minutes. So I'm back. Sorry for the wait, not that highly professional, but let's have a quick look. Take Salah out for Kevin De Bruyne if he starts, and Marmoush forward with a -8. I'll have to take. I missed your response before, sorry. I love those moves, to be honest, but I think that there is a slight risk because I would wait at least 20 minutes before doing those moves to look for some news from Man City. We might actually get leaks, so there is, of course, a possibility that Kevin De Bruyne actually is benched and Marmoush starts. Then those moves would backfire massively. So I like the idea. Can potentially be really powerful, but yeah, wait another 20 minutes before making those moves. But if we get, of course, if we get confirmed news that Kevin De Bruyne starts, Marmoush is benched, I think those moves makes a lot of sense. Missed your response before, sorry. Yeah, no worries. Hopefully that made sense. And Bumo 80%. Still no votes for Mo Salah, Chris Wood 7 and other 12. Let's have a quick look over at X to see if there are any news from the Man City camp. Team news FPL, check it out over at X. 4 hours ago posted that he is expecting early team news today and asking which players do you need. In the comments, a lot of FPL managers posting that they want early team news from Kevin De Bruyne, Savinho, Haaland, Marmoush. I'll monitor this, of course. Really interested in early team news myself. I'm in the same boat considering Kevin De Bruyne and Marmoush. I will probably just keep De Bruyne, no midfielder I'm that interested in, but if Marmoush is benched this game week, I will probably sell Marmoush and bring in Watkins. Nothing from those other big FPL early leak accounts. FPL Tony, FPL Main Road. No leaks so far. -8, yikes. Yeah. Of course, there is, while taking a -8, there's always a risk involved, but there's always a risk involved in selling Mo Salah as well. But I think at the end of the season, like, I think it's probably worth the risk to have a bit of fun in the run-in as well. in the end, that's what the game is all about, right? So if you know your players will be benched and you will not be able to watch them play 90 minutes, I think at this stage it's probably a good idea just to get rid. I don't think I don't actually think that I've taken a -8 this season. Let's have a quick look at my transfer history. Yeah, it was actually a -8 in gameweek 33, so took a -8 in gameweek 33 and got a green arrow. So yeah. I'm leading my mini league by 26 points. The guy behind me had 2 free transfers. Saban has Watkins and Cunha and Milenkovic. I don't necessarily see Watkins as a big threat this game week, but I really like Watkins as an option next game week. Playing against Spurs, I can see some rotation for Spurs next game week. Good afternoon, everyone. Tweet from Lazy FPL saying Holland starts. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's have a quick look. Nothing from FPL main road. I'll update that one as well. Holland starts. Appreciate the leak. Sign up for a free FPL newsletter. Simple transaction. Thanks for letting me know, Jed, and thanks for joining in. As always, really appreciate it. I think that Holland starts, of course, it's not good for Marmoush, but I think at the same time, Marmoush can potentially start together with Holland. Holland will definitely be on penalties. He will be their number 9, so of course not great news for Marmoush, but he can potentially still start playing a bit further out left, as we saw before Holland got injured. So not good news for Marmoush. But I'm still actually willing to keep Marmoush in my team and start him. The only thing that can make me do Marmoush to Watkins this game week is that we either get the full Man City starting 11 or get a leak saying that Marmoush is benched. So Marmoush out. I'm tempted by Watkins because of the next fixture in game week 37, as mentioned. Bring in Ollie Watkins and captain him against Spurs, but at the same time, Wissa is really tempting as well. Cunha can potentially be a season keeper, so Mhm. So many in the comments asking for Marmoush and Kevin De Bruyne after Lazy FPL posted the Haaland starts. I'll imagine if Haaland is actually benched. Nothing from FPL main road so far. Not even retweeting the Haaland news. FPL Focal as well, posting Haaland start, so probably from a reliable source. With my team, what would you do worth a hit? Lazy FPL says KDB starts, Marmoush doesn't. Nothing from FPL Tony. He has set up a Patreon and I think he will only post team news in that one. Let's double check with FPL main road. Nothing yet. Only 17 minutes until deadline. Lazy. De Bruyne starts, Marmoush doesn't. So that's interesting. This will actually force me into making a late transfer this game week. My plan was actually to just play Marmoush. Really good fixture. I can actually bring Haaland in Marmoush out, Alexander Isak out. Bring in Haaland. And that will give me 4.9 for my replacement. Is it worth taking a -8 for Haaland this game week? I'm pretty sure that he will not play 90 minutes. Haven't played since game week 29. It wouldn't really make sense for Guardiola to risk him and play him 90 minutes this game week, especially if Man City are up, and they possibly will be against Southampton. Haaland will probably be taken off early with Marmoush on the bench as well. Focal has quoted the tweet from Lazy FPL with KDB starting and Marmoush not starting. Yeah, thanks, Jed. I saw the tweet from Lazy FPL as well, and with only 14 minutes left, I'll need to make a decision. I think that Haaland probably, even though we know that he will start in game week 36, he can probably wait. As mentioned, can't really see him playing 90 minutes. Of course, he can do damage in 60 as well, but another option for me is to get Visa, of course. Just keep Alexander Isak. Sell Marmoush to bring in Visa. This will mean a double up on the Brentford attack. I can potentially save a transfer, and this was my initial plan. I'm starting to have second thoughts. This is to bring in Watkins. We know Rashford is out, and we know that the fixture is not the best for Aston Villa playing away against Bournemouth in game week 26, but I really, really like the fixture in game week 37. Watkins will probably be my captain in game week 37. Okay, let's see if there are any other leaks. "11 minutes left until the deadline. We know that Marmoush will be on Man City's bench for their fixture against Southampton." I definitely would do your initial plan. Sell Mo Salah, bring in Kevin De Bruyne, and sell Marmouche and bring in Chris Wood. That would be my transfers with your team. Definitely more merit to it now that we know De Bruyne starts and we know that Marmouche is benched. So go for it. Sell Mo Salah, take a punt, bring in Kevin De Bruyne. Can potentially do a lot of damage against Southampton. We know Marmouche is benched, so it makes sense to let him go. We know if Haaland is back, he is on penalties as well. He will potentially play a lot of minutes in the run-in. So this was one of the things that made me transfer in Marmouche, the fact that he potentially was on penalties while Haaland was injured. But obviously Haaland, he is not injured anymore. So selling Marmouche makes sense. I will sell him myself. I just have to make a decision. Do I get Watkins? Or do I go for Vissa or Cunha? Should I just do Marmouche, 2 Wood, Cunha, Watkins and avoid taking Salah out this week? I think that with the information about Kevin De Bruyne and him starting, I think that it's worth a punt taking a -8 on Salah to Kevin De Bruyne as well. I really like those moves. I liked them initially, but the only thing that was kind of making me not saying that you should pull the trigger was the potential Kevin De Bruyne benching. But at the moment we know that Kevin De Bruyne will start, so my advice would be to sell Mo Salah as well. Ooh, need to focus on my transfer. 7 minutes left until the deadline. Marmouche to Watkins for a -4 and captain Watkins next game week. Yeah, let's do it. I think Watkins, I talked about him earlier today and yesterday as well. His ownership is 18%, but he was top 5 for the most selected players ahead of game week 1 in August. So I think that some of those 18% are a lot of dead teams. So his effective ownership is probably, it's hard to say, but around maybe 8 to 10%. I think that, as mentioned, some of those 18% are dead teams, picking a team in August and just forgetting about FPL. So I think his ownership was around 40-50% before game week 1. So Ollie Watkins was really popular in August before FPL game week 1 started. So Marmouche for Wood or Watkins. If you don't have Chris Wood, I would prefer Chris Wood this game week, to be honest. Marmouche to Chris Wood would be my transfer. I actually already bought Chris Wood this game week. Yesterday I sold Mateta to bring in Chris Wood, so he is my preferred option. My plan at the start of the stream, I actually thought that Marmouche could potentially be benched, so I had a plan to sell Marmouche and bring in Watkins and then captain Watkins next game week, but I'm starting to second guess myself. the fixture in game week 36 is not the best for Aston Villa playing away against Bournemouth. But I'll skip Visa, go for the differential. I can't just buy Visa and Captain Mbumo. I think it's a bit boring. I'm going for the differential. So it's done. Let's try to get this in center. This will be my team for game week 36. Captain Mbumo for me. I think Kevin De Bruyne probably is the biggest differential, but I can't really see myself changing in the last 3 minutes. It's been on Mbumo all week for me, so it would be really, really annoying if Kevin De Bruyne blanks and Mbumo holes in game week 36. So the thing is that the reason why I'm going Mbumo is because of penalties. We know Haaland is back. We know that he will be on penalties. I know Kevin De Bruyne, he's great on most set pieces for Man City, but not penalties. So Mbumo taking corners, free kicks, whilst he's at the same time their designated penalty taker. So Mbumo will be my captain. My transfers this game week: Mateta and Marmoush out to bring in Watkins and Chris Wood. I'm benching both of my Arsenal players, Raya and Saliba, starting Areola and Munoz. I haven't really thought about benching Williams or Guardiola. They are locked in. Kevin De Bruyne as well, and we know at this point that he actually is starting. If you're considering a differential for captaincy, Kevin De Bruyne, I think that he is a decent option with the information we have at this point. SA, I'm starting him on penalties for Crystal Palace. I think that he potentially is a minute risk. I consider him for captaincy, but considering that Crystal Palace will play the FA Cup final on the 17th of May, I'm satisfied with playing SA, but I will not captain him. Bowen, hopefully he will do well against Man United. I'm a Man United fan actually, but I think that Bowen has great chances. Up front, Alexander Isak, one of the bookies' favorites for anytime goal scorer in game week 36, playing at home against Chelsea, so he will start. Rodgers will be on my bench together with the mentioned Arsenal double and Trippier. Start Munoz or Livramento? Probably Munoz. I think that this fixture for Crystal Palace is decent, and Munoz, he has better potential for attacking returns. So Munoz. I can see Chelsea score against... I can't see a Chelsea goal against Newcastle, so Trippier, he is actually lost all my benches, yellow flagged as well, so that's a vote to Munoz. The captain poll: Mbumo 77, other 16 with 7%, and no, I think this is the first time no one actually voted for Mo Salah, so 0 votes on Mo Salah for game week 36 captaincy. Only seconds. Let's just double check that this team is locked in. I'll take a screenshot. on my phone as well to post over at X. Let's see, FPL. Oh, time is running out. So, deadline has passed. Sales, Guardiola, Munoz, Collins, Salah, Barnes, Elanga, Mbumo, Vissa, Wood, Alexander Isak. On the bench, Livramento, Semenyo, Saliba. I replaced Munoz with Livramento, home fixture. That's why tough call, captain Mbumo. Yeah, it was kind of a close call. I agree. Home fixture always in 50-50 decisions is always a good rule to play the fixtures, and playing at home for defenders is usually a really good idea. The reason why I went Munoz is because Spurs, we know that they potentially can field a weaker team in game week 35. They are prioritizing their final in the Europa League, so I think that we potentially can see a weak Spurs team in game week 36, and potentially some opportunities for Munoz going forward. So hoping for attacking returns from Munoz. Trippier is on my bench. He was yellow flagged as well, so an easy decision for me. Saliba, tough fixture, even though he's one of the most expensive defenders, and the same goes for Raya, the goalkeeper. Rodgers is on my bench. Feels weird that I have Rodgers on my bench while taking a hit to bring in Watkins, but this is anticipation, and I did it because of the captaincy in game week 37. Really looking forward to captain Watkins in game week 37. Will be a big differential against Spurs in game week 37. Captain Mbumo, good luck, mate. Best of luck for game week 36. Have a nice weekend, and thanks for joining in. I'm really looking forward to the games today, to be honest. I like this team as well, but even though I like this team, there are a lot of big threats. So if Vissa does well and Mbumo blanks, that will potentially ruin the game week for me, to be honest, and most probably mean a red arrow. So hopefully Mbumo can outscore Vissa. Bowen is kind of differential. Watkins as well. Chris Wood and Alexander Isak. I really like Chris Wood this game week. He is one of my transfers in. I sold Mateta. I don't really fancy Alexander Isak. He will probably be sold next game week. But at the same time, he is actually one of the bookies' favorites for any time goal scorer for their home fixture against Chelsea. So Akshat Bani, he pointed out he is actually starting Livramento because Newcastle, they play at the St. James's Park. They have been solid at home, so I think that makes sense as well. Areola and Jared Bowen, two of my biggest differentials. Watkins as well, and hopefully Watkins can deliver. I wasn't really planning on bringing Watkins in, but this will make it easier for me to sell Alexander Isak next game week. I have actually the potential to, if Haaland looks really good this game week, I can sell Alexander Isak and Chris Wood and bring in Haaland and a 4.5. In game week 37, I will definitely start Rodgers unless he gets injured. So the plan is set. in game week 38, I will most probably, if I don't have any injuries in midfield, I will most probably try to aim and bring in Evan Nilsson. Bournemouth at home against Leicester, really, really good fixture. Hopefully there will be a lot of goals in the run-in. A lot of teams, actually, they don't have anything to play for. At the same time, there are a lot of teams fighting for spots in Europe, like Bournemouth, like Nottingham Forest, Brentford. So there will be a lot of interesting games. Forgot to mention Aston Villa. At the same time, Crystal Palace, Man City, they will play next weekend in the FA Cup final on the 17th of May. And we also know that both Man United and Spurs will play the final in Europa League. So hopefully this will be a really interesting run. In my season is not the best, ranked at 700k. Really, really bad season for me personally, but so far really enjoyed it. Started making more FPL content, upgrading the graphics, new microphone, more subscribers. Since yesterday, 4 new subscribers. So thanks for subscribing, and hopefully you enjoy the content. I post weekly team selection videos with a watch list, captain selection, quick game week review, and my team selection and transfer plans. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel for the team selection videos. And of course, I do deadline streams like this, not every game week, because sometimes I don't find the time, but I always do a live Q&A the night before every deadline. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for joining in, and best of luck for game week 36, and have a nice weekend.